Well, Dan, I'm gonna tell you this. I was told this a long time ago. Sometimes same thing make you laugh, make you cry. I think winning that Super Bowl back in 2017 empowered ownership, empowered the front office. And at this point, they think that they plugged in Doug and they won the Super Bowl and not Doug's and Doug's ability to coach and vibe with his players. So I think they really thought that they could put anybody in that space and they could train him to occupy that space. When it's not, that's not true.
See if Barrett Brooks is there after rock, paper, scissors. Is he there? Is Barrett?
maybe we both need to go work on our garden. That's what it is.
Hey, man, I know this. If he wants to play a game of Tonk, I'm good. Hey, I got to throw some love out.
Boo Ray. Remember Boo Ray?
I got to throw some love out to you, man. Hey, man, Loma said to say hi to you, man. He's big fan of yours, man.
That's
really
my guy, man.
Work.
That's my guy, yeah.
Yeah,
real good dude, man.
Really great. All right, Bear, let's get into this. Give me your sense and give me your state of the Eagles right now.
Well, what state? You know, at this point, they're not even a state of anything. Usually after your fourth game, you really know which direction your team is going and what your identity is as a team. I don't know what their identity is. Well, maybe I do know what their identity is. I'm just not ready to assume that they're ready to step into that identity. I think that Nick Sirianni wants a quarterback like maybe Tom Brady or Rodgers, you know, guy that's going to pass for 50 times a game and can execute that. He doesn't have that in Hurts. So as a coach, you should find out what you can do to run plays in which help him become a good player. And at this point, I don't think his development and growth is being stunted right now because, all right, they tried the RPO. We understand what the RPO is, run, pass, option. Well, teams, especially defensive coordinators, get paid all this money to stop plays like that. So, they keep running them and they keep stopping because the defensive coordinator knows, all right, if you slant the end, that means that he's going to have to pull from the running back. So the running back, he's going to take the ball from the running back on the mesh point. So he's not going to get the ball. So it takes the R out of the RPO. Then they're also scraping that linebacker outside and dropping the safety in the passing lane. So now that takes out the P in RPO. So what do you have left is the option. And the option is you want your quarterback to go out there and freestyle. And that's what's happening. His quarterback is freestyling, and he doesn't have designated plays in which he could throw the ball down the field or hand the ball off. I mean, give him a break sometimes. You know, he's running RPOs or, a play in which he has to think sometimes. Sometimes it's just good to just hand it off to a running back every once in a while. A play that he doesn't have to think about, that he can just go out and just execute it. They put a lot on this young quarterback. 80% of this team 80% of the offense is built around his decision doing something. And sometimes that's not fair, especially to a young guy who's trying to learn offense and everybody else is trying to learn offense around him.
Absolutely. And Barrett, I'm going to go here. I mean, I'm going to give everybody out there, I think the way, if you're going to bring in a young coach, look at what Sean McVay did when he got the head coaching job in Los Angeles. The most important hire he had was Wade Phillips. He brought an experienced guy in there that knew how to scheme and where he could go like this to the former head coach, former defensive coordinator. Go ahead, Wade. That's your part of the team. Until I get acclimated on how I could see all of the team, then I'm going to be able to say, okay, I'm going to make a new hire at the coordinator. Who came up with the idea in Philadelphia that you would do this, Barrett? I got a training wheels quarterback. I got a training wheels head coach. I got a training wheels defensive coordinator. How did somebody sign off on all of that when you have veteran guys who less than 1,370 days ago won a Super Bowl? How do you do that in a locker room and try to convince people that you know what you're doing? And then we're throwing rock, paper, scissors. We're doing T-shirts. They're calling the guys flowers. I mean, dude, it's an embarrassment right now.
Well, Dan, I'm going to tell you this. I was told this a long time ago. Sometimes same thing make you laugh, make you cry. I think winning that Super Bowl back in 2017 empowered ownership, empowered the front office. And at this point, they think that they plugged in Doug and they won the Super Bowl and not Doug's ability to coach and vibe with his players. So I think they really thought that they could put anybody in that space and they could train him to occupy that space. When it's not, that's not true. I mean, Nick Sirianni, he might be ready to coach, but you know, it was kind of damning the last, during the press conference, after the game, he said, well, I haven't watched many games, on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe I need to go back and watch. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Your defense has sucked the past 4 weeks. You should have been down there a lot more than even in the offensive side of the meeting room. But because you're a head coach, you got to dictate what's going on the other side of the building also. I mean, he's just, at this point, he doesn't know how to really relate to being a head coach. Rock, paper, scissors, dealing with horticulture. That's all stuff you need to just leave alone. You know what I'm saying? Just leave it alone. He's a coach. He wants to talk like a coach. He wants to set examples like a coach. He's just not that guy, right? He can't do that. So, I mean, he's got to, I don't know. I tell people all the time, there's 2 things that you have to do when you come into a locker room, you're trying to win players over, especially the older players. Number 1, you got to keep it 100 with them.
Yeah.
I guess he's keeping it 100 with them. And number 2, you got to make sure that you can make them better. And at this point, he's not making them better. They're getting worse. A la, watch what you heard Fletcher Cox speaking up and saying something. He's not one to say something. He never says anything. But he felt as though he had to step up and say, hey, what's going on? Jordan Mailata, a week before that, said, well, it seemed like whatever we were doing out there, they were one step ahead of us. They knew exactly what we were running. I could tell you what you're running.
Oh, no, they're predictable.
Oh, no
the
question.
Whole thing's predictable.
That's the problem, man. It's too much predictability and not enough putting your best players in better positions.
How about this one, too? I wonder how much shade this gets thrown all over the organization as well. I talked to Frank Reich the other day, and Frank goes, man, we're really happy with the way that Carson's playing right now. He's on pace. Get this, Barrett. He's on pace for 4,200 yards, 26 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, 65% completion percentage, and 102.8 quarterback rating. That's what he's on pace for, with better coaching, better environment, Jonathan Taylor, a better O-line. Chris Ballard believes in him. And to your point about the organization trying to manage the team from the owner's box, man, this is a prime example of really back in your face. You blamed Doug Peterson and you blamed Wentz. There's no one left in the room to blame anymore, Barrett.
And, I heard you say yesterday, I was listening to the show yesterday, he said, I mean, Lord help us if those 3 picks, those 3 first-round picks stay with the GM that's there. I mean, your track record is what your track record is. You are what your drafts saying you are. And, it's not like college. You can go to a JUCO and go get players from JUCO. They try free agency. He's pretty good at free agency. I will say Howie Roseman, he's good at putting deals across the table in free agency. But in this league, and the way salary cap is, you got to be able to draft. That's why our counterparts in Dallas are doing so well. Their entire team are draft picks, all of them. And they're not afraid of going on one side of the ball and just dictating, what they wanted to do. They were bad last year in defense. They go out and get the best linebacker on the defensive side of the ball. The year before that, they went out and got Diggs. All these guys are paying dividends. They went out and got, a good linebacker in Van Der Esch. I mean, they let a better linebacker go than we have in our whole team right now in letting Smith go. They're giving away, how good they are as far as drafting. We can't even get one in the building. It's tough, man. It's tough as a analyst to go out there, because when you know football, like we know football, Dan, we can sit down. You can't just tell us what's going on the screenplay. You can't just tell us what's going on the defensive side of the ball, because we know we've been there before. So when they say stuff, I'm like, wow, they can say that to the general public, but they can't say that to me, and I'm not going to let that happen, man. I can't allow it to happen.
No, and that's why I love you, man. And you're exactly right. I try to tell people, why is the defense looking the way it looks? And I go, well, when you're catching because you're not sure what's being asked, that means this: you're a yard off the ball. That means the scrape lane for the linebackers are a yard off the ball. So when you start running the ball, that's what Kansas City did, and you're automatically getting a 3-yard head start. No wonder you get 200 yards rushing, because your defense is guessing and catching the 2 worst things. And if I'm a blocking old lineman, these dudes are catching and guessing, man. Let's run this fucker right down their throat, because they're not going to complete the passes. Follow me on this one here, Barrett. This is why I say that we should start Gardner Minshew. And by the way, any idiot out there that thinks that I think that guy's the future of this team, no, I don't. Okay? However, He could expose Sirianni because you mentioned something a couple minutes ago. He's used to Phillip Rivers. He won 11 ball games with Phillip Rivers last year,
Yeah.
and they did a pretty good job in the playoffs. But let's be real here. Frank's really the play caller and designer of them plays in Indianapolis. It's not really Nick. He's not that really the guy making that. However, if he's not used to constructing RPO plays, let's see what he does in a drop back. This guy Minshew's a drop back guy. Let's see if he can get Devontae Smith. There's 52 other guys, Barrett, on that team that we have to find out if they can play going into the 2020 season. I mean, I'm not suggesting in any way, and I don't even know if Jalen's good. He may go somewhere else and be a star because better coaching. Here, you put Jalen in Cleveland, I don't know. I might see the same thing that Baker Mayfield does. I don't know. I mean, they run the ball. He just turns it around. They don't let him do anything on third down. I don't know if Jalen's bad or good, but I don't know if Nick is. And I think that's the most important thing we have to find out moving forward. Do you agree?
Exactly. I agree because, if you're going to put your coach there, because, I hadn't heard of Nick Sirianni until I heard rock, paper, scissors.
Neither did I. He's wide receiver coach at San Diego, and I remembered him, but that's it.
I don't even remember that. So, and not to say anything about him, man, but, it's a results-driven league, and what I see right now is I don't know. I mean, for us to for the Eagles to go in and line up under center and really kick the defense's ass, drive right down the field, running the ball, from underneath center, running the ball 8 times, 6 times, whatever it was, and scoring. But then to take that all away, and I understand, your best running back goes out of the game, but that's what them other guys get paid to do also. You just can't change your whole offensive game plan. And plus, let me say this, though. After they scored that score, they came back the next series. After they received the ball, they turn around then and win a shotgun. I'm like, why are you back in shotgun? And then he got hurt in the stream. Miles Sanders got hurt in the screenplay, and he was in shot. Why are you going back to shotgun when being underneath center gave you the ability to both run and pass because the defense was on their toes? They didn't know what to do. But then as the game went on, you saw that your tackles are getting their ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? And those are my dude. Lane Johnson's my dude, and Jordan Mailata is my dude. But they were getting their ass kicked in the game. So why are you drop back passing it when your tackles are getting beat? How about this? How about you looking running the ball to your left side? You got a 380-pound offensive tackle that's 6'8". Then you got a 6'6", 350-pound offensive guard on the left side. How about we run behind them? Inertia itself. The mere fact that that's 730, 740 pounds coming off the rock. How about that? What do you think is going to stop that? Nothing. Let them come off the rock, hit them in the mouth, run right behind them. That'll alleviate all that pass blocking and all that, that fancy pass blocking that they're doing out there instead of, getting hit from run plays. Let them run the ball a little bit, man. Give them an opportunity, man. Get our offensive line the time to eat instead of just always retreating, man. I hated that, bro. I hated it.
Absolutely. And you know what, guys, what Barrett just brought up here, which is so important? You could make Larry Allen look like shit. You know how you do that? One-dimensionalize your offense.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
I know this, right, Barrett? I know this. Well, these guys are going to run the ball, 8 times? I don't care if they get some chunk plays 5 yards. They're only going to attempt it 8 times. I'm pinning my ears back, and you could make a nobody look like Bruce Smith. If I know this, all I have to do is get up the field, and I can make that guy step up in the pocket because he's a young quarterback, and he's going to dance around in there. You may just get a coverage sack because you've got these guys rolling backwards. You turn really good football players into one-dimensional players. I don't care who you are. You become predictable, and you also, at the end of the day, really hurt the guys that are really good ball players on your team. Let me ask you this. Do you think Hurts is a player?
I think Hurts is a quarterback, but I don't know if he's a starting quarterback now. He's
you
a
think
great.
He's like Tyrod Taylor, somebody like that? I like Tyrod.
Me too. I think he's a guy that can come in and he can facilitate an offense for a couple of games. But at this point, I haven't seen him step up and be a starting quarterback, and that's his fault and a lot of fault of the quarterback. Quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator, and the head coach. All 3 of these guys are trying to make him a better player. And at this point, they're failing tremendously, man. And I put the blame on all 3 of those guys because, You can't come in with an offensive game plan where you're just going to pass the ball like that every single time. Because just like you said, all this defensive line is, oh man, we hunting this time. We're hunting this week. We are hunting this week. They throw the ball. They don't even try to run the ball. We ain't got to worry about it. Usually you have to give a defense, all right, we're going to tackle the run on our way to the pass, on our way to the quarterback. Well, they don't even think that. No, we going. They know we're not going to run the ball. We just hunt. We're just going. They don't even think about stopping and stopping a run play. And that's unfortunate for the quarterback, number one, but it's very unfortunate for the offensive line, number two.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Hey, I've got to get to Howie here, and I named all these horrific draft choices. And look, when you get into the latter rounds, as you know, Barrett, you fall into great. I mean, Jordan Mailata in the 7th round, Doug, you're just drafting best guy available. There's no skill to that, man. But when you look at your premium picks, this Jalen Reagor guy, he sucks. He does not belong in an NFL huddle, man. He doesn't work for the play. He doesn't help his quarterback. He runs shitty routes. I mean, really, and it's a nightmare watching it, but because he's a first rounder, they're going to give him the ability and the accessibility to try to, I don't know, be part of the offense. But, I mean, go back to Howie's selections here. Look at this, man. I mean, this roster, and tell me if I'm wrong, I heard he has complete control of the roster.
Yes.
And he turns it into the
on game day also. On game day also. He picks the 46.
But to me, then you're setting the deck for failure when you do that. So I get the guys who I'm going to be able to use on Sunday, and this is how I have to put a game plan together.
Right.
You're trying to win games from the owner's box, aren't you?
Right. That's exactly what. And you look at when you look at the draft, and I think a lot of people in Philly stop even looking at it like that, but like this. But when you get drafted, the first 3 rounds, you're expected to play.
Oh yeah,
that year. You're expected to have some type of participation, whether it be special teams or whatever, as a starter or a guy competing for time in the first 3 rounds. That hasn't happened in Philadelphia in a long time, in a very long time. I mean, granted, the first 3 rounds are, guys that, that have been gone now. They had a cornerback from Washington. They drafted hurt, thought he was going to be a player, Sidney Jones, didn't work out. Goes to Jacksonville. Now he's a starter. I mean, there are so many times where, Marcus Smith, 1st round draft choice. He was chilling at his house thinking he's going to be a 3rd round pick. And then he gets called from the Eagles and they draft him because, a run on defensive ends went through the 1st round. So they just picked a guy that didn't even expect to get drafted. He wasn't supposed to get drafted to the 3rd round. So he got a surprise call from the Eagles. I mean, those are situations in which, you're setting the player up for failure also, because now he has to live with the expectations of being a 1st rounder. And then, sometimes that's not cool. You know what I mean? It's not putting the player in the right position either. So, I mean, at this point, I'm looking at, Jalen Reagor, and he will always have Jefferson will always be over his head because he got drafted behind him the next pick, and he had an all-star year. You know what I mean? He was, over 7, what did he have, 1,500 yards, 600 yards?
Yeah.
And here we have Jalen Reagor getting get on the field. So it's tough, man. It's tough when you go out and you try to evaluate talent, and the talent that you're evaluating has not been good. Derek Barnett played, has had every opportunity to stay on the field and play. And although he's got hurt a little bit, the results that he's having still on the field are not good. Brandon Graham, once he left the game, sack production from the ends left. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, it's like Brandon Graham was the catalyst. He would get, he would rush the quarterback and almost get there so the other guys can eat. Well, now that he's not there anymore, they don't know how to generate pass rush on their own. So I don't know what they're doing from the defensive standpoint. Barnett hadn't played. Sweat has 1.5 sacks. You're getting production from your inside guys, but I mean, you want to be pass rushers to be on the outside. You want to get lit up like we got lit up this last game with the Raiders. That's what you want, but we're not getting that.
I'll tell you what, and I so appreciate you doing this. You do your show with the middle here right on the JAKIB Media channel. By the way, one more question for you here. Do you think, and I've asked Gary Cobb this question, Gary comes on with us every Monday, and I asked him this, and I'll ask you this. You think Nick Sirianni could be a one-and-done coach this year?
You know what? As far as production, I could say yes, but when I look at why they brought him in here, I'm going to say no, because they brought him in so they could basically make him a coach like they did Doug. They feel as though they made Doug the coach he was, and they won a Super Bowl because of them making Doug that type of coach. So I think they're trying to do the same thing with Nick Sirianni. Does he have potential? At times I see that, but I still see him bugging his head against the wall. So just from the standpoint that they have to eat crow if he doesn't, I doubt if they do.
I want to sneak this last one in on you here. What happened to Doug Peterson here at the end?
Well, they just didn't agree, man. He got tired of these Tuesday meetings. I mean, they micromanaged him so much. You know, he had to. What was your? You know, why did you do this on this play? Why did you do that on this play? I mean, they end up. I remember 2 years ago they beat a Green Bay team that was expected to win the NFC, and they beat him. And he came back and had the meeting on like Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever the meeting was with the ownership. And they asked him, well, why'd you run the ball so much? They won the damn game, but you asked them why they ran the ball? What is that? Why are you asking that? We ran the ball because they want to be a passing offense. No, you want to be a winning offense. You want to win games, whatever it takes. So he got tired of the micromanaging. He had to get out of there, man. That's what it was.
Hey, man, don't ever bitch about the process if it results in wins. I don't care how you – hey, Jimmy Johnson used to say this to me, Barrett, all the time. I don't give a shit about technique. Get the dude on the ground.
All day, you know what I'm saying? Hey,
just get him on the ground. Dude, man, I hope you'll do this again. This was a
lot
of fun, man.
Anytime, all right?
Anytime you need me, man, I'm there for you, dude. Thank you so much, Barrett.
Appreciate it, man.
You got it. Barrett from the middle, man. I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun. We'll take a time out back to you. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.